what I've been through and what I've seen, like what I've had people physically do, like while in my presence, I'm just like, you got to be kidding me.
Is there any stories you can share?
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely killing the vibes. You're not doing anything for the crowd right now. All I want to hear is.
All right, so today we have Micha Smith here.
Hello.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I want just like the quick elevator pitch, like someone walked into an elevator and they asked who you were. Of
course.
What is like, or the better question is, you're sitting in the back of an Uber and an Uber driver asks you what you do. What do you say?
I'm a credit specialist. I love, I keep it so simple. All things credit. I love credit. So your credit score, right? It impacts every part of your life. And so I help you manage it. I help you understand it.
And fix it.
And fix it. And fix it. If you've made some mistakes, I help you fix them.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Awesome.
Simple.
What was life before credit? Like, where did, like,
There was life
young
before
Micha,
credit?
like, where were you? Like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah,
where were you? What was
that's
happening?
a really good question. So I'm actually originally from Colorado.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Colorado.
Oh my God.
And so ever since I was this big, I've moved very, very, very fast.
Yeah.
And my parents are like, we don't know where she came from. And I've always been telling people, I'm like, speed up. And they're like, no, you need to slow down. And I'm like,
Like, no,
there
let's
has
keep going.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, there has to be a place that has energy like mine. I'm like, there has to be. So I thought bigger would be faster. So I went west, knowing nothing about west. Have you been to the West Coast?
I was just
gorgeous.
there. I was just in San Diego. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
chill out, don't stress.
Yeah.
They're like, why are you getting all like anxious? I'm like,
Because I'm an East Coaster.
16 million text messages and phone calls as I'm trying to like relax on a beach, and
Yeah.
you can't.
Yeah.
You can't slow down.
Exactly.
So you went west.
I went west.
You're like,
I
this
was
isn't
there
it.
for 7 years. I went to
wow.
Newport Beach for 7 years.
Oh my God.
And I was like, wow, this is really beautiful,
so
but not my
nice.
cup of tea.
They are. They really know how to slow down though.
Oh.
If you're going
yeah.
for vacation, like I was able to like zen out
Oh,
and
yeah.
like calm down.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I could have like a second home there, but not
Yeah.
full time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're slowing
If it's
down.
a good day, you go to the beach. If it's a bad day, you go to the beach. Like,
Yeah.
if you try to go anywhere, like you try to walk into an office, I swear, I was so frustrated when I was trying to build my business out there. Totally different business.
Yeah.
And it'd be like 2:00 in the afternoon, and I'm like, where is
No, they're
everybody?
out. They're
like
out.
nobody's in the
Golfing,
office.
beach,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
man, people go to California after they've made money. Let's be clear. like,
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
the
go to
plan.
California to make money.
No.
You go there after
You're-
you've made money.
Like you're like unwinding.
Yeah.
You're on the end of it.
Yeah. So, and and I have a sports background. I played college volleyball.
Okay.
I was in the Junior Olympics.
Nice.
Former bodybuilder.
Wow.
What else do you want to know? I mean, there's
my
so much I can tell you.
Wait, so did you compete in bodybuilding or
Yes.
you? Oh my God, so
Yes,
you did.
I did.
Wait, I might be butchering this. IFPB.
IFBB.
All right, close.
So that's when you go pro.
Okay.
So that's when you hit the pro circuit.
you get, like, a pro
officially become
card?
the pro card. Yep,
Okay.
you go IFBB. So I was NPC, and so I never went pro. So I competed on the amateur circuit,
Wow.
and it was amazing. Amazing.
What has, and I feel like this could tie into everything. What has like the because I know like my trainer was a bodybuilder, and
Yeah.
like the regimen and like the discipline you have to have. Like how has that like translated into other parts of your life and helped you, or like
Yeah.
help like basically like that, like not only the diet but like the discipline in the
Yeah.
gym. Like how has that helped?
It has honestly, it's foundational now for where I'm going, and it changed the trajectory
Yeah.
of my life. Like my body has changed permanently. Like I was always in good shape
Right.
before, but then like you get
It's like the
to
next
these-
level.
It's next level.
Like you go over like 5 macros and like no,
Like, I was
you're
even-
done.
Yeah. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
it was crazy, but I love it because what I love about the mindset is I was in a constant deficit, and
Right.
you learn what you can actually live without.
Right.
And I also tie that into my finances, and I got myself out of debt that way too. You learn to live in a deficit.
Right.
But it's been so impactful and foundational for getting me to where I am today, because being organized as a business owner, you can't not
I feel like it's half the battle. Like if you have organization in your day,
Absolutely.
like that's
Yeah.
half of it.
Yeah. And learning how to eat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like
Yeah.
my energy is everything.
Yeah.
If I don't feel good, there's no way my business is going to function the way it's supposed to. You know?
That's how I am too. Like I'll go out to like a business lunch or like a dinner, and so many
Mm-hmm.
people are like, "It's fine. Like you can have the fried calamari." I'm like, it's not even about that if I want it or not. It's
Right.
like I feel so gross after, and to finish my day, like
Yeah.
I don't want to. Like it's I don't know. I
No,
feel
you're
like
in super good shape. I had no idea
No,
how
but
good of shape you were in. I was like, oh.
No, the bodybuilding world is so intriguing to me because
Yeah.
I always played like sports in high school.
What did you play?
Volleyball, and I
Really?
actually play beach in the summer. Yeah.
Now
Rec,
I
but, like,
who
nothing
cares? We're playing.
Yeah, yeah. And then my trainer like opened me up to this whole bodybuilding world. Like I'm not a bodybuilder, but
Yeah.
that whole mindset and like tracking and because I don't even think it's the workouts. I think it's
Yeah.
more of your
It's 80%
your discipline.
diet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody always asks, is like, I'm known for my abs.
Yeah.
And
I
like,
see on your Instagram.
Yeah.
I see the gains. I see it.
Right?
Yeah.
But people are like,
How?
oh my gosh. And I'm like, literally, these are made in the kitchen. You know, like people would like, I used to be so embarrassed because I carried my lunch with me everywhere. I don't
I
really
carry
ever
my
eat.
lunch in
Yeah.
here like all the time.
And now it's like, I take so much
You're just
pride
like,
in
here
that.
it is. Let's
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And also like you don't have to worry about like ordering out. Where am I ordering? Like let me go and get it. Like
Oh, yeah.
You can just continue with your day.
Absolutely.
How has though in like the business setting, like you same with mortgage, like you're meeting thousands of people, you have to
Yeah.
constantly be networking. How do you like manage that balance when you're out at so many events to be like no or like knowing when to like let go a little bit, but also being like no, I like this. I need to keep fueling my body correctly.
Absolutely. You know, I go to events not hungry. So it's like if it's a networking event, I
Right.
always have food with me and I eat prior because
up.
and then I'll have something with me to eat afterwards in
Right.
the car. You know what I mean? But or if I really want to enjoy myself and let go, then like I've already
Right.
planned that,
Right.
well ahead of time. But I try to plan my cheat meals. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because otherwise,
Yeah.
it's too easy. It's such a slippery slope.
That's what I've that's what
girl.
I've found.
Yeah.
If I don't eat before an event, I'm more tempted to be like,
Of course.
like I don't even need that, but
Oh,
like
no.
it's there.
Yeah.
But if I eat before, I'm just like, no, I'm good. Like,
Exactly.
I don't care.
Yeah, right. They say that failing to plan is planning to
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah.
So
It's so
it
true.
Really, and people just don't realize, you know what I mean? Like I eat pretty good, but pretty good, it's like all those little extra things
Yeah.
over a year,
They add
like
up.
boom, 5 pounds later, 10 pounds later, 15 pounds later, and all of a sudden now it's like now your health is at risk. You know,
Right.
now you're more susceptible to getting heart attacks or strokes. And I'm getting, older. I'm not old, but I'm getting older, and so I'm more cognizant and aware. Like, hey, I've got to
It
take
affects
care
you.
of. Yeah.
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 And I even find like if you're not eating properly, like you're just tired, and it as you know, it affects just everything.
Yeah.
But so you're out in the West Coast.
I love
going
your
back
questions.
to this.
These are such good questions.
I
love
could
this.
go on forever.
We can be here for a
Yeah,
while.
For a while. So you're in the West Coast. You're like, okay, this
Yeah.
isn't it. Like, this is way too slow.
Yeah.
What like brought you to New York? Like, were you doing credit out there or no?
No.
Completely different.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what's crazy is when I moved back to Colorado, I was actually in lending. And I was doing hard money lending. And I was
Okay.
really like, no, this isn't my thing.
It's a tough space, right?
It's a tough space. And there's
Yeah.
some people who are really, really good at it and it's
Yeah.
their thing and good for them. But I was like, this is not me.
Is aggressive the word that you would use, or is it it's more than that, right?
It's so much. It's aggressive, but also so transactional.
Yeah.
And I just am not a transactional kind of an individual. I'm
I'm
a
not like that
relationship
either.
person.
Yeah.
And so I just wasn't real keen on it. And it was funny, a recruiter had called me. And so the business I was in California was recruiting. So I spent years and years and years in staffing. And so that's kind of what I thought I wanted to go back into. And a recruiter called me and told me about a position in credit. And I was like, why in the world would I want to be in credit?
You're like,
I'm
no.
I'm like, I don't have a finance background. I'm like, I didn't go to school for
Yeah.
anything finance related.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and my credit score is not that good, and I don't even know why. So why would you want me, And I actually hung up on the recruiter 3 times. And then I finally agreed to meet
Was
with
it the
him.
same recruiter that kept calling you?
Yes.
Wow.
Same one.
Persistent.
Same one. He was super persistent. And I kind of loved that.
Yeah.
And so I was
Yeah.
like, all right, let me see what this guy has to say. So we sit down, we meet, we talk, and then he's like, oh, well, this is what the company's all about. So I go, I meet the company, I meet the owners, and I'm like, this is pretty amazing. I really didn't know that credit repair was a thing. I didn't know, you know what I mean? I didn't know you
Yeah.
could actually fix
Yeah.
mistakes from the past.
Yeah.
And so I go in, and so they're like, well, listen, if we hire you, you're going to have to go to New York. That's your territory. And they were like, how do you feel about New York? And I was like, I don't know.
Light
I'm like,
bulb.
I'll try
Yeah.
anything twice.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will. That's
Yeah.
my role. I'll try anything twice.
Okay.
Because
I
the
like
first
that
time,
role.
maybe you're in a bad mood.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you
Right.
got to give it a fair shake. I'll try
Right.
anything twice. So long story short, got the job. And they sent me to New York, and I knew no one. I knew nothing. I touched down in LaGuardia, old LaGuardia, gross LaGuardia. It's gorgeous.
It's so much
now.
better now. It's
It's
a lot better.
Gorgeous.
I'd rather go out of LaGuardia
gorgeous.
now over JFK.
It's
That's
to
how much I
die
like it now.
for.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
really nice.
It's so beautiful.
The fountain.
Yeah.
Just sit there.
Oh yeah.
Watch all the visuals.
I literally
Yeah.
just
It's
was
nice.
there like 3 days ago, and I
Wow.
was like, oh my gosh, it's
Nice.
so pretty.
They did a good job.
They did. They really
So
did.
you literally touched
Yeah.
down and you're like, let's go.
I was like, I
But knew
actually
no one.
felt at home. Don't ask me what it is, but it's if you are
Yeah.
in New York and you have the chance to experience it, and like there's just something in the air. It's the
energy.
people. It's the
Yeah.
energy. It's the way people move, and I was captivated by it. And I was like, finally, a place that's not. And nobody here has ever, not once, told me to slow down. If anything,
Yeah.
they're like encouraging
They're like,
me to go,
wait,
girl.
they're like, what,
go.
you're being too slow. Like, this isn't enough.
Never too slow.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
no one's ever said I was too slow,
Yeah.
but they encourage me
To keep going.
to continue on the pace that I
Yeah.
am. You know what I mean? And I'll match their energy.
Did you
know?
live in Manhattan for that job?
No. So I lived in Colorado, and I was
Oh.
flying all over the country for a couple
so
of
you were
years.
just going there in New York for a little bit. Like, you weren't like moving there for the job.
Yeah. So when I moved here to New York, probably about 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years into my career, I went to the owners of my company and I was like, I can't do this. I cannot. I'm like, living on the road, there is nothing.
It's fun at
glamorous.
first.
Oh.
I feel like you're like seeing different cities. You're like, okay. But then it's like you're tired. I used to be in consulting, corporate consulting.
So.
And we were always on the go.
Yeah.
And it was like Thursday night, you would leave and go back home.
Yeah.
But like Monday through Thursday was moving, and
Yeah.
it got so tiring.
Yeah. Oh, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's absolutely exhausting.
Hotels, like
Yeah.
it's just a lot.
Yeah.
You never get to like settle in. Like I feel like your body like doesn't like calm down. It can't get to like
It doesn't.
a normal stress-free
Oh
state.
no. And like I'm super into biohacking, and so they talk about the stressors that your body goes through, like from flying. Just the lighting alone in the airports, the lack of oxygen, like
And the pressure.
yeah, it's crazy. Like what you're. So it's amazing to me that I did it as long as I did. But I was like, I couldn't do it anymore after 2 years. So I, by the grace of God, like I ended up getting the opportunity to move to New York. So when I came here, I actually moved to Lower Westchester, and I covered the entire East Coast, all of New York, all of New Jersey, all of Connecticut. So like,
Oh boy.
80 miles
They're keeping
today
you busy.
was nothing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's nothing for me.
Wow.
Like I am so groomed to
Wow.
sit in a car for 14, 16 hours. Like that's like
So your
child's
drive
play.
down.
It was nothing.
You're like
It was
this
child's play.
You're like, this is a joke. We're good
it was,
here.
it was child's play.
Yeah.
I was like, yay, gotta catch up on some reading.
Yeah.
Because the Audible, not physically.
Yeah.
Just
No,
in
I
case I don't read a book.
Any long trips, I'm putting like a podcast on or something.
Who's
Like
your
music
favorite?
in and out. So I really love right now, and they're gonna laugh. Do you know the Skinny Confidential?
No.
Michael Bostic, Lauren Bostic.
I know the names, but I don't know the podcast.
So their group is called Dear Media. They interview there's no like one group. It's not like just real estate or just like health. Like it's a wide variety of like, really interesting people. So I just listen to their interviews. Bigger Pockets, I used to be big on.
Yeah.
That was more real estate, but I go in and out of a couple different. What
That's
about you?
awesome.
Is there one thing that you?
Ben Greenfield, all
Yeah?
day, all freaking day.
Yeah.
He's really good, and then Dave Asprey is really, really good as well. They're both biohackers,
Okay.
and so like it's just like cutting edge. But Ben Greenfield is all about like life, fitness, health, and he's kind of like a Tim Ferriss.
Okay.
So you know Tim Ferriss, who does like these interviews with all these top people, and that's what Ben Greenfield does.
Right.
He takes these top people in their top fields, and he's interviewing them, and I love cutting edge stuff, especially when it comes to like fitness and the mind.
What's their like? If you could summarize like what they've been talking about recently, like what's the main things that they're like saying is like the best thing to do right now?
I think it's really all about just maximizing performance.
Yeah.
Honestly, as a human being.
Yeah.
And navigating all of the struggles that we all face, whether it's sleep, food, the right type of workout, weight loss, all of those things,
Together.
daily stressors, they all talk about how to combat those things, and it's all about longevity, and that's really what I'm interested in: energy, longevity. And but today they were talking about ketones, and just how it's pretty amazing the science that that's gone into some of these products that they produce to help human beings reach these insane levels.
Like in foods, or just like it could be like medicine, food, like anything really?
Yeah, so I mean, these guys, the particular podcast this morning, this scientist, I can't remember the name of the company, but they produce a drink that puts you basically into ketosis. So you're burning fat from drinking this particular drink.
Just
So
one
your
drink.
body switches from burning glucose to burning fat. And they say supposedly like you function better. So your brain functions on ketones.
Wow.
And so they actually have figured out how to bottle ketones, whereas normally, like to go into ketosis, you have to fast these extremely long bouts of time,
Right.
or you have to eat 0 carbs for a very
Right.
long time. But the way
Higher
your
fat and,
brain,
like, lower- yeah.
yep, exactly. But your brain, like you'll find how sharp you are,
Yeah.
and your brain, and they're trying to figure out how they can maximize athletes' performance with like this stuff, and it's pretty crazy, like
Yeah.
the stuff that they're uncovering.
That's
I'm such a
wild.
geek. I'm a
No,
geek.
I love
I
this
love
stuff.
it.
I could go on forever.
Yeah.
Even with
Yeah.
like I feel like this is such it's becoming more I feel like mainstream now.
Yeah.
With the drinking, I like when I'm not drinking, my mind is so much more clear, like
Yes.
my energy levels. But I'm not even talking about like the next day. Like I'm talking about like 3-4 days later.
Yeah.
If I even have a couple of drinks, I feel my energy levels are wildly different than
Oh,
if
yeah.
I'm like not drinking for an extended period of time.
Oh, for sure.
And I feel like that's coming up so much more now in the health space.
Yes.
Of like it doesn't have to be so like you have to drink at every single thing now.
yeah.
And I find that like, especially in our space and like business and real estate, everyone's like, well, why aren't you drinking? Like you go to a networking event, they're like, why isn't
Yeah.
there a drink in your hand? I'm like, but why? Like, why is it affecting you? Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. Like, just
Yeah.
do your thing. I'm here too. Like, we're good.
Yeah. I don't know if you're aware, but I mean, I'm very open. I'm sober. So
No, I didn't know.
Yeah. So like I love talking about this
Yeah.
because obviously I did one extreme to the other,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
like I'm so open about my sobriety, but it's so funny how sometimes my sobriety it makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And straight up I've had people it's happened I think one time out of like a million.
Okay.
Like someone will be not very nice to me because I don't want to drink with them and I'm open about my sobriety. And to me that is it's
I don't understand
bewildering.
That. But I've
You know what I
seen
mean?
that.
Yeah.
I've seen that too.
Yeah, but it really is amazing to me how society, like we really glamorized, you know what
Yeah.
I mean, having alcohol and its, you know, and its effects, and it's just when you understand and when you have goals and set in place, like, you know, you're obviously very successful and
Right.
you have all these things that you're trying to accomplish. There's little things that get in the way, and drinking and like
Yeah.
having like, you know, lackluster cognition
Yeah.
function, that's not interesting to me,
Yeah.
you know?
No, like the energy levels are so significantly different.
It's crazy, right?
It's wild.
Yeah.
And I've only started like I've always noticed it, but I've
Sure.
been really paying attention to it
Oh, yeah.
recently. And like I'm talking about 3-4 days later, I still feel the effect of like the Saturday
Yeah.
like, drinks.
Oh, absolutely.
And like for now, like everything I'm trying to do and push towards, like I don't have like room to like feel that drainage,
Yes.
like that tiredness, that
Yeah.
like groggy thought, like those.
Yes.
It's just not.
I think that
It's
I think
not
we should normalize,
Yeah.
you know, not drinking and, you know, not being looked at as the odd one out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm honestly so grateful that I
Yeah.
had a problem, because explaining it, you know what I mean, to somebody when
Right.
you don't have a problem with alcohol, it's kind of weird. Like, well, why aren't you drinking? Do you have a problem?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And for me, I'm like, yes, I do have a problem.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm
Yeah.
sober, so it's healthy for the rest of the world for me not to
Yeah.
drink.
And you don't have to go into this at all.
I
Was there a
happy to.
major like turning point where you
Yeah.
were like, I have to
Yes.
make a change?
100%.
Yeah.
So it was amazing to me. So it was actually when I met my husband. So this is a phenomenal, and to me it's a phenomenal story, and I love sharing it because anybody that can hear this and maybe make a change for the better,
Yeah.
you know, that's the only reason
Yeah.
I talk about it so much, because it's so important. That's the only way to help
Right.
other
That's
people.
like something that your story. I feel like so many people like had never knew.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
if like people don't talk about it, I feel
Yeah.
like then they think it's more weird, or they
Yeah.
they are uncomfortable.
Sure. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So when my husband and I started dating, so I was the kind of drinker. I was never an everyday drinker.
Okay.
I was a drinker that I would go out and I would have a raging good time. Raging. Like
Right.
there was no in
There wasn't
between.
like I'm having
No.
a drink and I'm like
No.
going home later.
Oh no. Like I don't even. I'm like,
It's
what's
0
the
or
point?
100.
Yeah, exactly. Like what's the point of having
Yeah.
one? You know.
But I feel like a lot of people in their 20s,
Yes.
that's how like they don't drink. They're okay with the non-drinking
Yeah.
during the weekend, and the weekend is like
they go crazy.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how I drank, and it was
Yeah.
so unhealthy. And So when I met my husband, I was in one of my dry spells. So I was like, nope, I'm not drinking, because I just kept, every time I would pick up a drink, something horrible would happen.
Yeah.
And but I didn't drink for like even a day. Like I would drink for multiple days at a time. Like it wasn't
like a
it
bender
was,
almost.
Oh, straight up bender.
Yeah.
Not almost.
Like it was.
Straight up bender.
Yeah.
Like oh my God, she's going to die. Yeah. Yeah. And so when I met my now husband, I wasn't drinking at the time, and then I started drinking about 2 months in. So he saw me for me, he met sober me, and then all of a sudden I started drinking, and at first it was normal because I had talked myself into thinking I could drink like a normal person, because that's what every alcoholic goes through. You go through this battle, like, do I have a problem? No, it's just the people I hang out with. I can minimize the drinking. I can suppress
You're like,
it.
oh, I'm not drinking during the week. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not every day. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
in the morning.
Exactly.
But I
exactly.
think there's also different levels to it, and that's
There's
a whole other
yeah.
like hours we could spend. But I think there's so many different levels.
Oh,
to
for
it.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I was in my mode thinking I could control it, and one thing led to another, to another, to another. And I all of a sudden started to become the person that I disliked very much.
Yeah.
And I became the unreliable alcoholic. And, you know, I'm sorry, but even missing one event is too many.
Right.
Because you're drinking.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not showing up because you're drinking is unacceptable. Right. And so my husband, you know, we were very much in love already at that point. And
you were here in New York, or you were
here in New York? Yeah. And so at that point, it was a very sobering moment, no pun intended. But for whatever reason, this man was different. This experience was different. It was no longer. I knew that if I continued down this path, everything that I could have is going to just disappear.
Like he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Like other things are going to go away. Yeah.
And I knew, Keara, I knew this man was the man I was supposed to marry.
Yeah.
I knew it. Yeah. I knew it. And I was like, that's it. I'm done. I straight up called a girlfriend of mine. I met her at church, and she was open about her sobriety, and I was like, I need help. Yeah. I need to get sober. Wow. And so she's like, let's go to some meetings. And I was like, let's do it. So I was like, girl, to talk about like the withdrawals that I went through were so painful. Like it's really dangerous to go through like the withdrawals on your own, but she helped me. Like we went to like the hospital, and like it was bad. Wow. But I showed up to meeting after meeting after meeting, but I just knew, like, in order to have the life that I was intended to have,
this is what I need to do.
I have to be sober.
Yeah.
And that was it was a very pivotal moment in my life. Yeah. And because of that, it gave me the courage to do what I've done now, which is open my own firm, own my own business. You know, now we're married. Now we have this beautiful house. You know, we have a beautiful life. Yeah. But if I hadn't gotten sober, it would have never happened. Everything I would probably be dead right now. Wow. I'm not joking.
Wow.
Yeah.
And like you said, you would have kept pushing things to the side, or all those things, those important things would have just like kept like falling off.
Oh, yeah.
And now, like, your business has, I feel like, exploded. Like, what would you say? So when did you start your actual own company where you were like, I'm open, like, I'm working for myself? When did that occur?
So on paper, 2 years ago.
Oh, my God. What?
But
I thought you were going to say, like, 5 years ago, like 7 years ago.
No, on paper, 2 years ago. Wow. But I started laying the groundwork 3 years ago. Okay. So the first year... before I had even opened my firm, you know, I started laying the groundwork. I started putting myself through this rigorous education on the side because I knew credit, but I didn't know the back end. I didn't know how to run a company. I didn't know how to run a business, and I certainly didn't know how to run a business in New York. And
it's like its own beast.
It's its own beast. And
but you wear like when you open up your own business, like you're literally wearing every hat, like marketing, sales, operations, like HR, like everything.
Yes, all of it. All of it, yeah. So, but open to the public. We actually, it was literally like 2 days after I left my company. It was October 31st was the very first person that I processed in my system in 2021.
What made you, was there like something that happened at your old company, or you just knew like you wanted to start your own, but was there like a defining moment you were like, all right, I'm out of here, like I need to go on my own?
Girl. There were so many moments. There was one moment in particular where I knew I had to do it, and it was a very scary moment because it was a very like earth-shattering moment.
You're
and
like,
I still remember I was sitting in my little apartment, so downtown New Rochelle was where I lived, and this was in 2020 during COVID. So prior to COVID, I was out like this
Right.
every single day, like building my business, talking to people, meeting referral partners and doing big presentations. And then COVID brought me inside. And so then I started dealing with the customers a lot one-on-one.
Right.
And when I started dealing with our customers one-on-one, and I was able to take them from non-closable to closable without even having used the credit repair service that my company offered, I was like, my confidence skyrocketed. For whatever reason, this company was very good at making me feel like I was only going to be good at what I was good at. You're not smart enough to run a company.
They were keeping you in like this box, and they were like, you're not, like, this is where you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And for some reason, my confidence skyrocketed, and I was like, I know what I'm doing. I can do this.
And I feel like COVID, that happened for a lot of people. Like, you're
Yeah.
sitting alone with the work, and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
It was a very pivotal moment, and I still remember. So I just started researching, and I started buying books like faster than like they could come in
You
the
just wanted
mail.
to, like,
I was plowing through like a book a day.
Wow.
I was so hungry.
Yeah.
I would start my days at 4:00 in the morning, and I would end, super, super late because I, obviously still worked for my other company while I was gonna, build
Right,
my own.
you're like built, like slowly
Yeah.
building yourself, but
Yeah.
also there, so you kind of had to, you
Yeah.
got to do both at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and what's really interesting too is I kind of saw the writing on the wall. You know what I mean? That there was something happening within the company.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much time I have to share about this, but the crazy thing is, so I had put on my calendar when I was going to quit. I had put October 17th, which is my birthday. I'm putting in my 2 weeks as my birthday gift to myself. October.
Happy birthday to me.
I'm quitting. Yeah. And 2 days, I was so stressed out. Because I was like, how am I going to quit? How am I going to quit? How am I going to quit? Yeah. And by the grace of God, 2 days prior, I got a phone call. And they were like, we're eliminating the outside sales positions as we know it. And I was like, really? And what's interesting is I really wonder, you know what I mean? Like, because I was petrified. Like, I didn't want to quit because it was comfortable. You know what I mean? Like,
it's that, that saying, the golden handcuffs?
Yeah.
It's like that. Like, you're going to get the salary, you're going to get the pay. Like,
absolutely.
Like, I want to leave, but like, this is so like comforting and safe.
Yes, 100%. So it was honestly it was grace, it was providential. And they were like, we're eliminating the position as you know it. And so listen, if you want to stay on board, here's what your options are. And I was like, can I think about it? So a couple days later, I'm like, I'm going to pass.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out of here. And
that was kind of like your...
That was it. That was the end of
blessing
that.
in disguise.
It was such...
But you were planning on leaving, but still, that was kind of like the...
But it was so amazing because I think, you look back and you wonder, would I have had like the guts to leave?
You might have stayed for like 3 or 4 or 5, half a year. Like, you might have stayed for more time.
Easily, because it was comfortable.
Yeah.
So it was pretty wild, how the whole thing happened. And so I was prepared and ready and terrified at the same time because you're like, well, what if I'm not as good as I think I am?
Yeah.
Like that's always the
question. Because you're like jumping out onto your own.
Yeah.
I mean, similar, I was in corporate consulting. And I was working like long hours. It was like that cushy salary, like the benefits were nice, and I was like, this isn't it. So I took the mortgage test on the side, and I took like a huge pay cut to leave, but I was like, I know this is gonna eventually work out, like, and double, triple what I'm doing now.
Yes.
But it's scary when you're leaving because
You're like,
am I actually gonna be okay? Like,
yes.
I don't know. Like, let's see.
It's terrifying.
Best. Yeah.
That's amazing. When did you do that, by the way? How long ago was that?
That was October of 2021.
Oh!
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
We were like in sync.
Yeah.
Between
And
the
here we
water,
are. Yeah.
everything's
like aligning. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I left there and I was like, I was working so many hours a week till 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and I was salaried. So I would work till 1 in the morning, but it didn't matter. I was still getting the same pay.
Same thing. Yeah.
Working for partners that were in their 60s and 70s, like typical corporate America, like had no respect for like the lower end of their employees. Making really good money, working out of Manhattan. I was living in the Upper East Side. And I was like, this is not it. And I always had that real estate itch, but I didn't know like how to like bridge that gap. I didn't want to be an agent.
Yeah.
Power to all the agents out there. But like I was like,
tough.
I was like, I'm not going to be an agent.
Yeah.
And I have an accounting and finance background, so I was like,
amazing.
Mortgage maybe. So I took the test, and
and boom.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Did you pass it your first time?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I was like, I am never taking this test again. I was like, I'm studying like a maniac. I was like, I'm taking it once and that's it.
Yeah.
And I did.
That's incredible.
I took the test as if I was like taking a test for like college or something. I just studied for days and I was like, I'm not coming back to this testing center.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for
So
you.
I
That's a
passed
tough
the
test.
test, and then before I left my company, I said to myself, I was like, I'm not leaving here until this test is done.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna leave and then kind of like take the test. So I passed and then started interviewing. I went through the whole. I sat with a couple different mortgage companies that like put the keys on the desk and like they were like, we get our suits tailored every day, and I was like,
okay.
please no. I was like cringing, and I was like, what is this industry? But then like found my way.
I'm dying to know who that was, but we can do that offline.
Yeah. It was So here we are, but I want to ask you, what's the biggest surprise that came with owning your own business? Like you started, you got your building, and you're still growing now, right? You would say?
I'm growing like a weed.
Yeah.
Like a weed. And I wish I had a better way to say that. I hate saying that because weeds are bad, but weeds grow so fast.
Sunflower.
Yes, exactly. The biggest surprise, oh my gosh, there has been so many. It's so many. I will say probably one of my biggest pain points has been, I think probably my biggest struggle has been finding good employees and a good team. It's been the hardest. It's been the hardest and most rewarding part of what
Finding
I do.
talent, I feel like is always so hard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like what I've been through and what I've seen, like what I've had people physically do, like while in my presence, I'm just like, you got to be kidding me.
Is there any stories you can share?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Give us one.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I almost feel like it's gossiping.
You don't have to go into it. You don't. But I
mean,
feel
it was
finding talent and attracting talent and retaining it is hard.
It's very, very, very difficult. And I think I'm so grateful because the people I have now. So you go through all these bad experiences, and I kind of look at it the same way as I do dating. You know, the dating pool, it was brutal. I'm sure you've got stories beyond stories beyond stories. Yes. It's brutal.
Yeah.
You know, and the stuff that you go through, you're just like, I wouldn't put my own worst enemy through this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And so, but then when you have the right people on board, it's the most gratifying thing on the planet. Like the girls that I have now, the women I have on my team now, the energy, the passion, the love for work, the love for helping others. I mean, it's amazing. They're advancing so quickly. Yeah. I mean, we're
and
small.
And seeing them grow, I feel like is even more rewarding because like they start and they know they know what to do, but then like they just get confident and like grow into themselves at the company.
It's
like it helps.
Amazing to watch. Like I feel like I'm like Mother Hen watching her babies. You know what I mean? Grow up. It's been. I think, though, it's probably been my biggest surprise. And the workforce has changed. Mm-hmm. I actually have noticed a shift in the last 6 months. The applicants have gotten better.
Yeah.
The last 2 years have been weird.
Yeah.
But over the last 6 months.
I feel like during COVID-ish, people weren't leaving or moving.
Oh, no.
And now I think people are more jumping ship a little bit in and out of the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have an office location that they all sit at, or it's remote? Yeah.
I refuse. It's funny. I was reading something about Elon Musk, and Elon Musk had very publicly said, he basically believes that working from home is morally and ethically wrong. I don't think I agree it's morally or ethically wrong, but seeing what I've seen and firsthand having experienced, working from home, the isolation, I think it's great. I think that it's nice to have it as an option, but I think it's so healthy to be in the office.
The interaction itself, just the human interaction.
Oh my gosh, my girls in the office, they've become like best friends.
Yeah.
They do stuff out. And I'm like, I feel like, I don't know, I feel really empowered by that because I'm like,
because you're creating that space for them. Yeah.
And they love the office. I've made it super homey and warm and positive and cheerful. And
is that up by you?
Yes. Dutchess County. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's great though, having a space to go to, and I like it. I like having a space to go to every day because I try to leave it at home. When I leave the office, I come home. It's just me and my husband and my crazy animals.
Dogs, cats,
both.
At all?
Both.
Yeah.
Yep. Dogs and cats.
My God,
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the separation is good because I work from home some days, but then it's like it gets repetitive, and then when you lack that human interaction, I don't know, it gets.
Yeah.
But how has like creating your team and like letting go a little bit, have you found that like to be a challenge? Like you like always answer every single email I send you. I'm like, here's a like,
Within, like, 10
a referral,
seconds.
like nice like introduction, like you always answer. Like do you think you'll ever, or like are you in the process of like letting go a little bit, or do you think it's tough, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm slowly but surely trying to wean my referral partners and my clients off of myself. And that's a challenge because, I mean, my name is in the company. You know what I mean?
It's literally like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people know me, but
Right.
then they're getting to know my team, which
Yeah.
is great. And so, but my goal is to be working on the business, not in the business. And I want people to know, listen, her staff is just as good as she is, if
Right.
not better. So
Right.
my
And
goal
that's
is
how you scale.
exactly.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
you'll be in it.
I'll be in it forever, and I'll wear myself so thin. But that's why I'm able to be here, is because people get so terrified, I think, of like bringing on people and like letting go. But if you have systems in place that literally, if you have some sort of a structure for people to follow while you're gone, then it's something that you can literally teach anybody,
Right.
and you shouldn't have to be there all day.
You're just
every day.
replicating. They're just replicating
Yeah,
what you do, and then
exactly.
they can take care of it.
Yeah.
I
So
find it
building
hard to like. I still take the first call and everything, but I
Yeah.
feel like over time, like you said, it's those systems that allow you to grow more.
Yeah. And I think, everybody has their own timeline as far as when they want to move on,
Right.
because you always will have those types of people. Like, I never want to lose touch with my customers.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's such a it's why I got into the business in the first
And like
place.
you said, your name is literally like
It's on
the door.
yeah. So I think, definitely trying to pass off, as much as I can. But, I had to find and build that rapport and that
Yeah.
trust. And thank God, like I found girls that I can trust and women that I can trust and people that I can trust, to fulfill the roles that I needed them to fulfill. It's hard. It's a tall order
Yeah.
because it's your name.
Yeah.
I built
Because your
it's taken me-
reputation,
Oh my
regardless
gosh.
of the end of the day, like they could be amazing or really, really bad, but
Yeah.
it's still.
Well, I've been doing
back to
this
you.
for almost 11 years.
Yeah.
So owning my
Yeah.
own firm, only 2, but it's my name and my brand. People know my name.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they've known it for a
You're
long
the
time.
brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. Going into the nitty
I
gritty.
love your questions. They're
What
so
is-
good.
What is the biggest misconception? And it could be, you don't have to go into everything, but like
Yeah.
about credit, like collections, disputes, like
Yeah.
throw us some like tips.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. One of the big ones I think that I've seen, I had someone send me a post that someone had made on Instagram, and they're like, "Is this true?" And I read it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, no." So there's
I know it's kind of shocking.
there was someone posting that if an account has been charged off, that you no longer owe the balance. Congratulations. And I about died.
No.
I was like,
You owe it.
you owe it. You abso-freaking-lutely owe it.
Yeah.
And so just little things like that. But I think that's a big one. So if a charge-off is on your credit report, it's simply verbiage that company has given it. So you probably know a charge-off is just something that they no longer pay taxes on the debt. It's no longer an asset to the company.
Right.
It's just charged off.
Right.
So
It's kind of like we're not dealing with this right now,
Yeah.
but it's still something that like you
owe.
incurred.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
So that's a huge one. But
Yeah.
the other one is collections and what to do with them, and credit repair. What is credit repair? What is it for? Does it absolve me of owing the debt?
Right.
So the interesting thing about collections. So if you have a collection on the credit report, I always ask people like, what do you think you should do? Should you pay it? Should you not pay it?
Right.
Most people using common sense, having never looked anything up about credit, they're going to say pay it
Yeah.
because that's common sense.
Yeah.
Common sense says if I pay the collection, it goes away.
Right.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Most of the time, all it does is it's going to essentially restart the clock. So there's a little acronym on the credit report, which is DLA, and DLA stands for date of last activity.
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden that collection will become brand new, the scores
Right.
will drop, and then that derogatory item is there for another 7 years from
Yeah.
date of satisfaction.
Right.
And so what we try to help people with, and probably one of the biggest hurdles of my career, is what credit repair is and what
Right.
it's used for and how it works. And so there's laws that govern the creditors and the bureaus, and it's not really about more so. We're not always challenging if it's yours or not. We're challenging the way it's reported.
Right.
We're challenging, did you follow all the necessary protocol to put this on the credit report? Do you have all of the necessary information to keep this here?
Like, is it accurate
Yeah.
what they're putting there?
Exactly, exactly. So everything negative has the potential to be removed, and it's amazing to me. Like, I'll look at credit reports, and even with loan originators, and I'll look at a credit report with a loan originator, and they're like, "Oh, but you can't help with that." I'm like, "What do you mean I can't help with that?" And they're like, "Well, it's a bunch of satisfied charge-offs." And I'm like, "Of course I can help with that." I'm like, "Of course I can."
Yeah.
So people just assume,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, that it's
Even
just
with
there to stay.
we were talking about this recently, like the late mortgage payment.
Yep.
Which is very difficult.
Yes.
But so many people in the industry were like, oh, like once you see that, like just tell them they don't qualify. And for the longest time, so many people were like, don't even bother with that buyer. Until recently, I was like, wait a second, like there's gotta be.
Yeah.
And that's when
Yeah.
we started having more conversations. But
Yeah.
everything is not fixable fully, but like there's I feel like a solution.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
always some type of solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's so much more than what meets the eye. You
Yeah.
know, there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, like what you're doing right now, you ask really good questions.
Right.
That's what we do really, really well.
Right.
We ask really tough questions. And if you as a bureau or a creditor don't have the right answers, it can't be on the credit report.
Right.
It really comes down to
And there's
that.
always a story, and that's my thing with mortgage, credit, like whatever industry you're in, like I love the story.
Yeah.
Like I love your story. I love like listening to my buyers.
Yeah.
And it's never just like, oh, my mortgage payment was late because I didn't want to pay it on purpose.
Right.
And like that was
Right.
no one does that.
No.
No one's
No one
like,
does that.
forget this mortgage. I'm like, there's always something behind it.
course.
And I find if we can kind of like hear them and understand like why did they miss it? Like there was a divorce or something really bad happened in their life. They had to stop
Or
paying.
COVID.
Right.
COVID is a really big reason.
Yeah.
There's a lot of laws around COVID. So
Yeah.
if COVID they still apply.
Right.
If COVID is impacting you and that's the reason you're missing things, listen, there's something that can potentially be done about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then another quick one that I get all the time. This is like I get this one out of every 4 clients. So I run their credit, and I always say like, this is your mortgage credit score. When you go and get a new car,
Oh my gosh.
when
my
you
favorite.
go and get I got a new piece of furniture recently.
Yep.
And I opened a card basically for like the benefit of the
Yep.
interest, whatever.
Yeah.
That credit score that I like that pulled for that versus when I go and buy something like a property, it's very different.
Yes.
So can you just quickly touch on like why?
Yes.
Basically, why is there 2 different
yeah.
scores reporting there?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things actually. And so when I do my classes, I always teach the word algorithm. I love
Yeah.
that word. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. But there's literally
And that's what I say
hundreds.
to everyone. I'm like, there's different algorithms.
It's such a great word.
Yeah.
So there's hundreds of algorithms that they use to calculate the scores. And so let's say you go to Credit Karma, it's what we call a Vantage model. And
Right.
just to geek out a little bit since we're
Yeah.
here, so Vantage was introduced by the bureaus to be competitive with FICO, the Fair Isaac Corporation.
Okay.
So you use, as a lender, you use FICO models,
Right.
right? So your models are Beacon 5.0, Fair Isaac version 2, Classico 4. But if you go to like, let's say an auto loan or an auto lender, they're going to use variations. It could be FICO 10, FICO 10T, FICO 9, FICO 8, FICO 2. There's so many variations,
Yeah.
and they only pull one bureau. And so you could go to one auto dealership, they use TransUnion. You go to another auto dealership, they use Experian.
Right.
So they could both pull different
Yeah.
scores.
And we use 3 on our side. Like
Yep,
there's
exactly.
and I always have the buyer that's like, but I have my TransUnion app. Like, look, it's right here. It's showing I have like a 800
Oh my God.
score. I'm like, no, you
Oh
don't.
my God. TransUnion, by the way, is the worst. If you
Yeah.
want to feel really good about yourself,
Use that.
use TransUnion.
Yeah.
Because they go all the way up to a 990 credit score. And as you know, FICO only goes up to 850. So it's funny. I will see people and they're like, look at my
Right?
credit score. I
pull
have
up the
had
app.
lenders
They pull up the app.
do this. And he's like, check it out. I have a 900. I'm like, that's TransUnion. No.
No.
Oh
my God.
But if you ever want to feel good about yourself, go to transunion.com.
Yeah, and just pull it up. Oh my God. Moving away from credit so that
Yeah.
we can wrap up and not hold you too long.
Yeah.
The first 60 and last 60 of your day, what does that look like? 60
Ooh.
minutes.
Ooh, great question. The first 60 minutes of my day, I am extremely regimented. So every day,
Your morning routine is
my
like,
morning routine is pretty dang set.
Yeah. Run us through it.
Oh yeah. So pop out of bed.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's super, super freakishly early.
Yeah.
But anywhere between like 4:45 and 6. Like never past 6.
4:45 though.
Sometimes,
some days.
yes,
Wow.
yes. If I have the energy, I use it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If
Yeah.
I don't have the energy, like one of the most important things is sleep and quality sleep. I value it. I don't function well without it. I'm a different individual.
Right.
Like, so I let my body. I don't really do an alarm clock. I let my body, wake up when it's supposed to wake up, which is kind of nice. So get up and I drink 32 ounces of water. First thing in the morning, I got that from bodybuilding. So, obviously like wake up the mind, and then I have my favorite coffee. And then I go through, I meal prep for the entire day. I usually read something of some sort. I make my bed absolutely every day. Have to make the bed. It's like, it makes me like panic inside if I don't. I pack my gym bag. I go straight to the gym. I do anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour-long workout. I get ready at the gym, and then I go straight to the office. That's my hour every single day. And then I fast. Usually I do fasting, a fasted workout most days. And so then when I get to the office, then I refuel, and then I'm there all day. And my last 60 minutes, pretty much always the same. My husband and I, we end the night every night together, and we usually watch like some sort of a show, like on Netflix. We just do Netflix and chill. And
low stress. And you're in bed.
We kind of put everything away and kiss each other goodnight and lots of cuddles, and that's it.
I love it.
My wind down is Netflix.
Yeah, that's it.
Super simple.
I need to do that too. Like the end of the night can't be. I used to always be on my computer. Like really late.
Oh yeah.
And I found that my sleep I'm improving it. So
yes,
it's bad.
I
was doing work really late, and then like my sleep was bad. I was going to sleep stressed basically.
Oh yeah.
I was like putting my body in stress before like laying down.
Oh my gosh. Well, another thing too, and I should tell everyone, because it's the sleep thing and the de-stressing thing. So there's a really good supplement. I'm a big Tony Robbins buff as well. He has a supplement company. It's called Life Force.
Okay.
So I take their sleep stuff an hour before bed every single night. It's amazing. Tony Robbins. It's called Life Force. And I take their sleep products. It's a scoop, and it like mellows you out. You take it an hour before bed, and it's supposed to help you get into your REM sleep faster. It has ashwagandha, which ashwagandha is amazing for stress and like just kind of like helping to, fight all of those cortisol, that obviously comes from having like extremely high stress levels.
Right.
And I also do at nighttime. I also do a green drink every single night as well to kind of like detox and like just every night detox the body. So every single night, I never miss my
powdered
my
greens or
powdered.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do that. So that's an hour before bed as well. So I do the greens, I do the Life Force, and usually probably a protein shake right before bed.
Okay.
It helps curb my sugar cravings, my sugar, sweet tooth, and helps me recover because I love to lift. So
me
helps
too.
me prepare
That's
to
what I've
lift
been
heavy.
doing as like a dessert. I've been putting it in the freezer for a little, and it's like gets a little bit harder. And
You ready for
ice
this?
cream. Yeah.
No. I have the secrets for you.
Give it to me.
Okay, so this is how you make it.
Yeah.
So you throw in your protein powder, you got your ice, xanthan gum, just a tiny bit of xanthan gum. Just go get some. It makes it like like a Frosty or like a Blizzard. I'm telling you, it'll change your life.
That's gonna be my new dessert because I've been
tiny
doing
bit,
like the
though.
protein like with the frozen berries, and then I mix it, and then I've been putting it in the freezer. But I'm gonna add that.
No, you're gonna freak out.
That's gonna
You're gonna be like,
amazing.
and then add like 2 packets of Splenda. I'm telling you, you'll freak out.
And then you're good for dessert. Like you're.
Oh my gosh,
done.
my husband, like ever since I've introduced him to this, like we're like, why do we ever have ice cream? Like why? And if I'm feeling really bad, I'll have some whipped cream.
That sounds amazing.
I'm telling you, phenomenal. First form, by the way.
And I'm
tasty.
gonna look into the Tony Robbins thing because I need to get better on my sleep game.
It changes everything. Yeah. It changes everything.
Like, and then in the morning, so everyone has different opinions about this. Fasted cardio, pulling from the glycogen over the actual fat, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. What's the like? Do you find that it's better for it works for you, the fasted?
It
workout?
Works for me. It works for me, and I did it when I was competing.
Fasted like cardio
every day, and I stopped doing it for a really long time, and I didn't like the way I felt. So when I'm trying to really dice up and shred, so like for summer, I'm about to hit a bathing suit in the next couple of weeks. So I'm like, all right. So I really just make sure I dot my I's and cross my T's. But I love the fasted cardio. if you have a really low carbohydrate diet, and if you're like full on keto, you're probably going to need a little assistance because you're not going to be feeling so well.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on where you're at, with your personal journey.
Right.
But like a couple of my friends, there's no way they could do fasted cardio. They'd die. My husband would die. He's like this giant muscle, you know what I mean? I'm like, he's like constantly eating. So he eats before he works out, but he's I don't know if you've seen
I go
him.
in and out of the,
Yeah.
like some days I can fully work out fasted and then other days I like need the fuel.
Yeah.
So I always find it interesting.
I think it's smart to listen to your body. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And you're super tiny and super fit, so I think, listening to your body is critical. I think we fail to do that enough.
Yeah.
I think we're so focused on, sticking
This is
to
what everyone else says. Like, I have to do this.
No, listen to your body. Your body is really smart. It's going to tell you what it needs.
Yeah. So many people are always like, before you do legs, like, you need to be eating more. But for me, like, if I overeat before I work out, I feel so gross when I'm working out.
Oh, 100%.
So I like went away from it. I just do, like you said, I do what feels good for that day.
Yeah.
That's it.
Are you going to do, like, any competitions or no?
I mean, no, I don't think so. But my trainer is Brazilian.
Okay.
And she used to compete.
Who is it?
Sabrina Eldry.
I might know her if I saw her face.
I'll show you her Instagram after
Okay.
this. But she's super big in like the fitness space and bodybuilding, and she just opened me up to like this whole world that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
Like I knew it existed, but like just like the everything. I don't know. She tells me all these like one-off things, and I'm just like, what?
Like
the
what?
Whole,
Like
the,
what?
Like the fasted cardio thing. She just like there's random things like the time under tension thing, like just all these things that I wasn't doing. Like I was always doing like 10 reps just to say I was doing 10 reps, and it worked in the beginning of my fitness journey. It worked, but when you hit that plateau, like you have to like
Change it up.
you have to change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
she
yeah.
helped me really change how I was working out. I wasn't doing the time under tension, like I wasn't like doing the progressive overload, like all of that. She's helping me change.
Wow. How often do you meet with your trainer?
Twice a week we do. So she's in the real estate space. She's also like works for the airline, so it's really based on her schedule.
Wow.
She brought me to Bev Francis once.
Oh, that's where I trained.
That was a
Bev's is
wild
great.
workout.
Bev's is amazing. All the greats train there.
Yeah.
All of them.
She brought me there once, and she was like trying to get me to join, and I was like, I don't think I'm on this level yet. But it was so like when you go there, like all
It's
the energy,
crazy, right?
you're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's old school. It's hardcore. I love that place.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But I want to be more. I want the toneness to come more. So that's the goal for this next upcoming
amazing.
months. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to hear all about it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank
Good
you
for
so
you.
much for coming on.
Thanks for
This
having
was
me.
So fun.
Yeah, this was amazing. You asked really good questions.
Thank you.
This was amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
so much for coming and making the trip.
Yeah.
Absolutely killing the vibes. You're not doing anything for the crowd right now. All I wanna hear is